Just know this is not a time to play games. This is embarrassing for the Republican Party. It's embarrassing for the nation.
That was the former spineless MAGA Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, describing the Republicans' behavior as embarrassing. You think? I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. MAGA Republican after MAGA Republican went on the weekend shows and started saying how embarrassing the Republican Party has become now that it is the MAGA Republican Party. They didn't use those specific words, but they certainly explained how embarrassing their behavior is, although in typical embarrassing MAGA Republican fashion, they tried to blame the Democrats when in fact the MAGA Republicans, y'all control the majority in the House of Representatives. You can pick your own speaker. It's very, very easy if you had some modicum of discipline and had some modicum of principles, but you don't. Here is MAGA Republican being told by Jake Tapper, don't you guys realize how clownish you look? Play this clip.
In caucus, that we're able to resolve that so that we go unified to the House floor and deliver a speaker.
I hope you don't take this personally, but do you guys have any idea how clownish you look?
Well, you know, Jake, I'm very fond of saying that Congress is a lot like high school, but even more so. So hopefully we'll get past this. And, you know, I certainly have been part of the governing majority, and I'm going to stay part of that and look forward to those who are on the fringes hopefully coming together so that we can get a speaker.
I said that to Congressman Womack last week, high school, and he said that that's an insult to high school students. It's more like junior high. Congressman Turner, Chairman Turner, good to see you. I hope you guys pick a speaker sometime soon.
And here is Republican Congressmember McCall on the weekend shows also saying how embarrassing and humiliating the Republican Party has become. But then notice at the end of what he's saying, though, he tries to, like all these MAGA Republicans do, tries to blame the Democrats. Well, actually working with the Democrats would be very, very, very dangerous. You know, sure, not picking a speaker poses an existential threat to our national security, but if we were to form a coalition government and work in a bipartisan fashion with individuals who are trying to lower prescription drug prices and protect Social Security and protect Medicare and protect our veterans and to bring more jobs here and to increase wages for us, that would be very, very dangerous, wouldn't it be? Here's Republican Congressmember McCall, who, by the way, chairs the Armed Services Committee. Play this clip.
You need a Speaker of the House before you get any of this done. What
the
hell's going on?
I have to say, and it's my 10th term in Congress.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the most embarrassing things I've seen, because if we don't have a Speaker of the House, we can't govern. And every day it goes by, we're essentially shut down as a government. We have very important issues right now, war and peace, and we cannot deal with an aid package or my resolution condemning Hamas and supporting Israel. We can't.
You can't even pass a resolution condemning Hamas.
Because
are you supporting? I mean, I've lost count now. I think we're pushing a dozen candidates and potential candidates for Speaker. who are you supporting?
I haven't decided, but I want a Speaker in the chair so we can move forward and govern. My issues, my Committee of War and Peace, it's too dangerous right now. The world's on fire, and this is so dangerous what we're doing. And most importantly, it's embarrassing because it empowers and emboldens our adversaries like Chairman Xi, who says, you know, democracy doesn't work.
Is there any possibility of, I don't want to say coalition government, but is there any possibility that you're just going to need some kind of an arrangement that has Democratic support as well?
This is, discussed. I mean, if you can't get to 217 within our conference,
which is a really not a strange hypothetical.
On
it seems
the floor,
that way, yeah.
You know, how do you get there? But I think for some, they see that as very dangerous as well.
But you wouldn't rule it out if...
look, I'd rather it be the Republicans nominating and voting on the floor for a Republican speaker. But this can't go on forever. I don't know if we're going to have a speaker next week. I don't know how this plays out.
Back to the former spineless Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. There's a little bit of a longer clip here where Kevin McCarthy says how embarrassing it is. But again, he then blames the Democrats. You know, he goes, there's the crazy 8 with Matt Gaetz, and then they join forces with the Democrats. That's why this is going on right now. Here, play this clip.
Look, as we have said, the House of Representatives has been without a speaker for nearly 3 weeks now. What do you say to Americans who look at this chaos and believe it's a sign that Republicans cannot govern?
Well, it's embarrassing, and you've got to understand why we are here. 8 Republicans, led by Gaetz, have created this chaos by joining every single Democrat in voting to shut down one branch of government. Look, I would do the exact same thing again. Could you imagine if we were having this discussion right now with the American government shut down, with our troops in the Middle East, wondering when they'll ever get paid again? Keeping the government open was the right decision to make, and I'd make it again each and every day. Now, the 2 men, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, they could have done the job as Speaker. Unfortunately, the chaos has continued.
Let me reiterate. You are in charge. Republicans control the majority in the House of Representatives, not the Democrats. The Republicans do. You, Kevin McCarthy, in your spineless speakership, agreed to allow Republican Matt Gaetz the opportunity to bring a motion to vacate with just one vote, to vacate the speakership. And then you're the one who decided to attack Democrats all the time, launch a completely frivolous impeachment inquiry, a totally unconstitutional and baseless one against President Biden, and to empower Marjorie Taylor Greene and turn the House of Representatives into a clown show. That's on you. But here is Kevin McCarthy now giving his endorsement for the next speaker to Tom Emmer. Here, play this clip.
Do you think Tom Emmer will actually be able to get enough votes to be Speaker? Because all of my reporting suggests it's an uphill battle.
I do.
Speaking of the clown show, Donald Trump tells his allies that he doesn't support Tom Emmer's speaker bid. So Donald Trump is now saying to his MAGA Republicans, do not support Tom Emmer. And there are now 9 individuals in the speaker's race: Emmer, Mike Johnson, Kevin Hern, Byron Donalds, Austin Scott, Jack Bergman, Pete Sessions, Gary Palmer, and Dan Mauser. Let's go see what a rational Republican is. By the way, someone who I probably disagree with on a lot of issues, but someone who supports our democracy. This is Liz Cheney. And here in this interview from this weekend, she talks about the domestic threats that we are confronting right now as a result of the MAGA Republicans. Play this clip.
What do you think is driving the domestic threats against lawmakers within the Republican Party and also among some Democrats?
The domestic threats are absolutely being driven by Donald Trump and unfortunately some of his supporters, who in fact have encouraged and taken steps that have resulted in, as we saw on January 6th, political violence. When you have a member of Congress reportedly like Warren Davidson from Ohio, who in the meeting with Jim Jordan last week, when some of the holdouts raised with Jordan the fact that they were getting death threats, one of them told me that in response, Congressman Davidson said, well, that's not Jim Jordan's fault, that's your fault for voting against him. That is the kind of encouragement and acceptance of violence that is absolutely has no place in this party, should have no place in our country.
And here Liz Cheney talks about the global threats caused by MAGA Republicans like Jim Jordan. Play the clip.
And as a nation, we all ought to be very grateful for that. And we ought to reject the kind of attacks that we're seeing, obviously launched by Donald Trump, but also the kind of lies coming out of Jim Jordan and some other House Republicans, the notion that the entire judiciary system or the FBI is weaponized against us. And I would urge that people think about, as we look at the threats globally, the notion that we've got Republicans saying we're going to defund the FBI, we're going to defund the Department of Justice. Jim Jordan wants to stop a number of the programs that have kept us safe since 9/11. That is very dangerous, and people like that don't understand the threat we face.
And as you know, it's not just House Republicans, it's not just Donald Trump, it's Fox. It's an entire right-wing ecosystem that is amplifying these lies.
And by the way, this is MAGA Republican Senator Tim Scott, who's seeking the Republican nomination for the presidency. And just Tim Scott Just goes to show you the perfect MAGA Republican ethos. He claims he supports funding for Ukraine and Israel, but just because Biden's packaging it, he doesn't support the way that's done. And that just shows you how broken the Republican Party is. It's not a both sides issue. It just, so Joe Biden wants the same thing that you want, but because Joe Biden wants it, well, then you can't support it. I mean, that's what they're like on everything. Here's Republican Tim Scott.
But you support aid to Ukraine, you support aid to Israel. If these come together, if that's the way this bill comes up, you're not going to vote against it, are you?
I will in the current construct. There's no doubt that we spent about, over the last 2 years, $100 billion to Ukraine. In this one package, it's $61 billion for Ukraine, only $14 billion for Israel. Israel is at the beginning of a long, protracted war. I think we are much better off, better served as a nation, focusing our resources and our attention immediately on Israel and continuing to provide the kind of level of accountability and responsibility the American people want to see as it relates to the resources for Ukraine.
Well, there you have it, folks. Total, utter chaos amongst the MAGA Republicans, them calling themselves embarrassing, shameful, humiliating. You're hearing them saying it about themselves. Okay, we're just bringing the receipts here on the MeidasTouch Network. And if you want us to keep bringing the receipts here, go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch right now. patreon.com/MEIDASTOUCH to help support independent journalism as we hold truth. We bring truth to power. Hit subscribe.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.